Have you ever gone somewhere meant to be calm? A lakeshore at night, a quiet house, a lone night shift, and felt one small wrong thing that never left you? Over the next few minutes, you'll hear 3 true accounts: a found phone on a foggy dock, a midnight knock at a lakeside babysit, and a night guard who found personal things where they shouldn't be. Ordinary places, ordinary nights, until they weren't. Curiosity ties these stories together, and sometimes curiosity is the very thing that changes everything. If you see a marker where it shouldn't be, a bag that shouldn't be opened, or a knock at 3 a.m., remember, some wrong turns can follow you home. My name is Ryan, and this whole mess happened at Lake Meridian, a quiet spot 3 hours north of the city where I grew up. Last summer, my uncle Dave, he loves fishing, took me for a night trip. He promised it'd be just us, no phones buzzing, nothing to do but cast lines. We left around 4, the truck loaded with rods, bait, and cheap sandwiches. The bread was stale and made my mouth dry. Dave kept talking about old times and a huge bass he caught. We set up on the bank by a rickety dock that squeaked underfoot. For hours, there was little action. Crickets chirped, occasional splashes. Dave cracked a beer and handed me one, though I don't drink much. "Relax, kid," he said, clapping my shoulder. Around 10, a fog rolled in and everything grew muted. Dave lit a cigarette and the smoke mixed with the mist. My nose itched, and I regretted not bringing allergy tablets. By midnight, the wind picked up and the dock groaned. I had left my jacket in the truck and shivered. We joked about drowned folks tugging lines, then tried to shake it off. Around 1, something rustled in the bushes. "Deer," Dave muttered. I swept my flashlight across the tree line, but saw only shadows. I edged closer to him, pretending to fix my rod, my heart a little louder. The night dragged. Dave hummed an off-key army tune. "One more hour," he said. A bigger splash sounded out on the water. Fog thickened until we could not see the far shore. At 2, we packed up. My line tangled and took longer than it should to untangle. We worked slow in the damp chill. Dave cast one last time near the dock, casual. The rod hit a hard snag. "Got a big one," he yelled. It felt like dead weight dragging along the bottom. We pulled together, arms burning and slipping, until a soaked bundle broke the surface. It was a cracked plastic bag, tied tight, smelling of mud and rot. Dave ripped it open. Inside lay an old cell phone, screen fogged but waking to a blue glow when he pressed it. The phone unlocked with no passcode. The gallery had dozens of videos dated about 2 weeks earlier. The first showed a scruffy man on that same bank, voice shaky, talking about job loss and family fights. He looked beaten down. Later clips showed him wading into the lake, filming himself as water rose to his waist. "This is it," he said in one clip, eyes glassy. We skipped to the last files. The final recording was mostly audio, splashing, heavy breathing, choking, then gurgling that cut out like someone flipped a switch. After that, there were only lake sounds. Dave went pale and dropped the phone as if it burned. We shoved it into my backpack without thinking and stumbled back to the truck, flashlights bobbing. The engine roared and we left. When we reached signal, I called the sheriff. The next day, I handed the phone into the tiny station that smelled of old coffee. They ran checks, fingerprints, IMEI, but found no matches and no missing person reports tied to the device. "Bootleg maybe," the officer said, but his shrug did nothing to ease the hollow in my chest. Dave acted like nothing had happened, but he gripped the wheel tightly the whole drive home. I could not stop replaying the gurgles. We never returned to Lake Meridian. We sold our gear and left the rods to gather dust in the garage. Now small noises set me off. Drips from the faucet, tires splashing through puddles, and my mind goes straight back to that sound. I wonder how many other phones lie bagged beneath mud and weeds, recordings waiting to be found. Maybe that man's body never reached shore. At night, it visits me in small moments. Washing dishes or passing the garage, I feel the cold mud under the dock and my breath stall. I replay the first video, fixating on how the man held the camera and the wet sound at the end. I wonder why the bag was tied tight. Hide something, preserve it, or just how currents wrapped it. I picture other bags snagged on hooks, phones with recordings no one hears. People ask if I blame Dave. I don't. I blame curiosity for opening the bag and watching. If I had left it, the sheriff might have found it later. Not knowing feels heavier than any answer. Sometimes I dream I'm back on that dock with fog low and water black. The gurgle from the clip becomes real and I wake sweating. We sold the gear, but the image of the bag and the phone stays. Lake Meridian is a name I do not say anymore, still remains. This happened 3 summers ago. I was broke and needed cash fast for college. A friend's mom knew a couple who owned a lake house. They needed a babysitter for the weekend. Easy money, they paid me up front, cash. $200 to watch their kid from 7 p.m. Saturday until 6 a.m. Monday. Exact time scribbled on a crumpled paper. At the bottom in red pen it said, "No parties," with 3 underlines. The house was nice, right on the water. Too quiet, actually. The couple left around dinner and seemed rushed. The woman kept checking her phone. The man barely looked at me. He kept saying how important it was to follow the schedule exactly. Their kid was maybe 8 months old. Oh, sweet, but he cried a lot that first night. I was pacing the living room when I noticed every curtain was already closed and there were extra locks on all the doors. Not regular locks, heavy chain ones you see in motels. Saturday passed, Sunday too mostly. But Sunday night got weird. The baby finally fell asleep around midnight and I was watching TV when I heard a scraping outside, like something dragged across the dock. I peeked through the curtain. A small boat was coming toward the shore. No motor, someone rowing at 3 in the morning. The scraping got louder as the boat hit the dock. I could see a figure carrying something heavy walking toward the house. My hands shook as I double-checked the locks. Then came the knocking, soft at first, then hard. I didn't answer. The baby started crying from the noise. "Please," a woman called through the door. "I know you're in there. I need help." I stayed quiet, holding the baby tight. Then she said something that made me freeze. "The other family sent me." They said you'd understand. What other family? The couple who hired me never mentioned anyone else coming. The knocking stopped, then resumed at the back door. "I have another baby," the voice said. "Please, it's an emergency, just until morning." Another baby. The one in my arms stared at me with big eyes like he knew something was wrong. "Please, I'll pay you." "I have cash," the woman pleaded. Against every instinct, I opened the door a crack. She stood there, soaking wet, holding a bundle of blankets. Next to her was an infant car seat I'd never seen before. "Thank you," she whispered, pushing past me. "This is temporary. Just paperwork stuff. It'll be sorted by morning." She set the car seat down and handed me a damp towel and a crumpled $10 bill. The bundle in her arms was another baby, tiny, maybe 2 months old. "Keep them both inside until the morning people come," she said, then vanished into the dark. I stood holding 2 babies, completely confused. The new one had a hospital bracelet on his wrist. In the dim light, I could read a hospital name from another city. Later, when I changed his diaper, I found papers in the diaper bag. Hospital discharge forms scrawled over with black marker, as if someone had tried to hide information. Everything felt wrong. The couple paid too much. A stranger arrived by boat in the middle of the night. Now I had 2 babies with suspicious paperwork. At dawn, I called child services. It took forever to get through. The man on the phone sounded bored until I mentioned the hospital bracelet, then his voice changed. "Can you read me that number again?" he asked. He put me on hold for 20 minutes. When he came back, he was different. Serious. "That bracelet matches a case we've been investigating. Stay where you are. Someone's coming." The social worker who arrived explained everything later. The couple who hired me and the woman with the boat were part of a group that moved kids around, custody disputes and illegal adoption fees. They used isolated lake houses to hide children and confuse timelines. The babies had been taken from families during custody battles. The group hid them at different locations, then demanded money from desperate parents or sold them to couples who couldn't adopt legally. They used late-night boats to confuse where the kids had been, making them harder to trace. I think about it sometimes. How that tiny hand gripped my finger while I held him. How quiet the water was when the boat came ashore. How those people treated children like packages. The job paid more than usual, but knowing what I know now, some money isn't worth taking. I still can't sleep when it's too quiet outside. Makes me wonder what else moves in the dark while normal people sleep. Very unsettled. My name is Marcus, and I still have trouble sleeping near any body of water. So this happened about 3 years ago. I was working security at this water treatment place by Pine Lake. Night shifts, pretty boring job mostly. Just walk around, check the pumps, make sure nobody's messing with the equipment. The pay was decent though. I needed the money bad back then. The facility pulls water straight from the lake. Big pipes going right into Pine Lake, filtering everything for the towns around here. Simple stuff, or so I thought. First few weeks were normal. I had to bring my thermos of coffee that always tasted like burnt plastic and just patrol. The worst part was this squeaky door by the main filtration room that drove me crazy every time the wind hit it. But whatever, right? Then the filter started getting clogged, like multiple times every week. Maintenance guys would come in during the day, clean them out, curse about it. I'd see them sometimes when my shift ended. They looked annoyed more than usual. One morning I was heading out and saw Jake, this maintenance guy I knew from high school. He was hosing down these metal screens. I went over to say hi, and man, the stuff caught in those filters. It wasn't just leaves and fish and normal lake crud. There were pieces of clothes, like actual fabric, a torn sleeve from what looked like a kid's shirt, some jewelry too. Jake showed me this watch, still ticking somehow, and pill bottles, prescription bottles with names on them. I asked Jake about it and he just shrugged, said people probably dump trash in the lake. But these weren't beer cans or cigarette butts, these were personal things people keep. My supervisor told us it was just boater trash. Said recreational people lose stuff overboard all the time. Made sense, I guess. Except I started paying attention to the names on those pill bottles and ID cards we'd find. I'm not proud of this, but I got curious. Started writing down names when I could, did some Googling at home on my crappy laptop that takes forever to load anything. The names matched missing person reports, different towns around the lake, different years, some going back like 10 years. I brought this up to my supervisor, Dave. Real quiet guy, always wore the same blue polo shirt. He got this look on his face and like I'd said something I shouldn't have. Told me to forget about it, said the facility had arrangements with local police and our job was just water quality, nothing else. Week later, they installed new filtration screens, heavy duty ones, and suddenly we had armed security on every shift. Not just regular security guards like me, but guys with actual guns. They didn't talk much. The weirdest part, after those new filters went in, we stopped finding personal items, just normal lake stuff again, but sometimes at night I'd see boats out on the lake with no lights, just sitting there in the dark water. They'd be there when I started my shift, gone by morning. I quit after 2 months, told them it was for another job, but really I just couldn't handle it anymore. The way management acted like nothing was happening. The armed guards who wouldn't make eye contact, those dark boats on the lake. I still live near Pine Lake. Sometimes I drive past that treatment facility. They've got even more security now. Big fence, cameras everywhere. And you know what? The water in my town tastes different now. Cleaner maybe, but I can't drink it without thinking about what used to come through those filters. I buy bottled water now. Costs more, but some things are worth the extra money.